Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Teach and Learn in Korea experience. And like I said in the previous one, we're going to talk about some more random meetups and whatever. I might just jump around with these random meetups the moment I find, like, what I basically do is I go through my entire Facebook and I look at these things. I'm like, oh, yeah, that happened that day, or oh, that happened. Um, so that is basically how things will be going. But as I told you, I'm gonna speak about Ian, the guy I met on Seoul at the Seoul bus station. I believe he originally planned for a 6 month stay in Korea. Then he extended for another 6 months. And this one time, like he contacted me as like, hey man, I'm gonna I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go back to man. He's not. He's from the Upper Peninsula somewhere. He's a Youper, basically, and only Americans will know what that is. Upper UP, Michigan, UP something, and he's as close to Canadian as you can get without being Canadian. Anyway, so what happened was I remember he hung out, he came to my place. Like, I never invite people to my place because I feel like I'm not a good guest, you know? That's also another thing I eventually got over. But I still feel like I'm not a good guest, but I usually never invited people over to my place, to my town, even now. It's rare that I invite people over to my place because I feel like I'm not a good enough guest, you know? And the big thing is, I remember he came to my place. I think he hung out for one night, and the next day we went to Gwangju. Because, it was sort of like his farewell thing, and he wanted to. Like, he contacted me and was like, listen, dude, I'm going back. I want to hang out with you for the last time before I go back because we're probably most likely never going to see each other again. And I remember he came and he's like, where do you live? And I'm like, oh, Gochang. And he's like, okay, cool. We're going to hang out there. Like, he basically imposed. And I was like, fine. You do this. I'm going to meet up and I'm going to sort stuff out with you. And, I'm going to sort it out. Me being stressed and all that. And we hung out in my hometown, Gochang, for a night. I might be completely wrong. It might be just hung out in my hometown, Gochang, for a night and then left the next day or whatever. But I remember us going to Gwangju, sleeping in the same motel room, but nothing happened, and getting drunk there and, giving him a send-off. It was a bittersweet time. It was a really bittersweet time to see him. And he left me, like, he's like, dude, I don't have space in my backpack. I don't have space in my luggages. Here's a bunch of clothes. You use them and enjoy. And I'm like, cool. Now, he's skinnier than I am. Now, if you've seen my streams in the past, you would see me, especially during wintertime, I'd be wearing this weird pink long-sleeved shirt thing. And, yeah, that's his. And I'm still wearing it during winter. It's one of my favorite, and not because he gave it to me, but it's something from Korea. It's something from Korea that I hold dear. Like, I've got clothes from Korea that doesn't fit me anymore because I bought them real tiny there, and they never really fit me there. And now they fit me anymore. I don't know. I got fatter, I guess. But I still have clothes that I'm like, you know what? One day. Maybe I'll just make a display of my Korean clothes just for me. Sad, I know, but that's how it goes. So we hung out at Gwangju and we went, me and Ian, we went to a bunch of different places. We went to the alleyway and he's like, oh, this is real poutine, and he enjoyed it. No. Like, we've gone to Gwangju a couple of times. I don't know if this was the last time, but like a couple of times he's like, oh, this is real poutine. And I introduced him to Amarula. And we walked around Gwangju, went to a couple of expat bars, and he's like, yeah, this is my favorite bar. I'm like, man, you hang out in Gwangju and never told me? And he's like, yeah, I've been here a couple of times. I'm like, holy shit, okay, cool. And hung out at his bars and everything, hung out at my bars, alleyway, and everything. And we basically went until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. This was on a Sunday morning, and i.e., it's Sunday, and then the next day would be Monday. So we hang out until the Sunday morning, and took a last photo, which was real blurry, of me and him. One of the people commented, "Even the camera is drunk," and it's like, "Yep, the camera is drunk." I was so freaking drunk and everything, and that was the last time, or that was the last time that I saw Ian. And as far as I know, he's back in Korea. As far as I know, I think he got married or something, or I know he's back in Korea, and then he went back to America, and then he went back to Korea again. So something's happening there. Really love to keep in touch with him, but our lives are busy and all of that. But that was one last hurrah with me and him. And next up, like I think a couple of weeks after, let me just see here. A couple of weeks, where the hell is this? Where the hell is this? Oh, so a couple of weeks, about a month later, after we hang out, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to South Africa for 10 days, right? Plan the holiday and everything, plan my trips and my plane tickets and whatnot. And, get to Seoul. And I was flying the night at 6 o'clock. So I get to Seoul with everything, and I'm like, hey, let's go to the Braai Republic, eat something there, drink something there, and catch the plane closer to the time. The problem with hanging out and doing stuff in Korea is you don't realize how much time has passed. So I get on time, I get to the airport. I'm about an hour. Like, I kept checking my plane ticket, and I can't remember the exact time, but I kept checking my plane ticket. I'm like, cool, I'm leaving in an hour. I'm going to leave in an hour. That means I'm an hour earlier. I'm on time for the plane to leave. So I get there, and I get on time. I get to the station, and what happens is one of the guys from the Braai Republic, like, listen, I'm going to drop you off there, and you just take this train. You take this train that way, and you go. And I'm like, cool. I'm slightly buzzed. I'm like, cool. And I get there, get to the train station and everything, and I look, and I'm like, Incheon, and I go. I choose Incheon, and I Incheon, and I go. Apparently, there's a similar place in Seoul. Let me just see here. There's a similar place. Yeah. So, there's a bus terminal to Incheon, or there's a metro or a subway or whatever to Incheon, but I took that one, and I never took the one that said Incheon Airport. So I'm ending up in Incheon, and it's the end of the line, and I look around, I'm like, this isn't the airport, and I look up, and I'm like, oh crap, I should have gotten off there to get to the airport. So I do it, and I am an hour before the plane takes off, and they don't want to take me on. They don't want to let me board. So I'm sitting there going, what the hell? What the fuck is going on? I'm standing there, and I'm planning this 10-day trip. I was planning this 10-day trip and everything, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's 7, 8 o'clock at night, or it's 7 o'clock at night or whatever. And I'm sitting there, and I realize I fucked up. So I contact my brother, and he's like, listen, the next flight you can take is on Monday, and this is on a Friday or a Saturday. I'm like, well, shit. So we rebook my flights. I sit there. And I'm trying to figure out where to go. And I'm standing there, and this taxi driver comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, you go to no, no, no." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And there's this other Korean couple sitting, and he's like, just like loud. This one guy looks at me. He's like, "No, don't. He's going to overcharge you." And I look at him, and he's like, "Yeah, no, don't." And I'm like, "Okay." And I tell the taxi, "No, I'm okay." And I'm standing there. I don't know what to do. I feel like a lost person. I'm like, what the hell? And I go up to them and I'm like, "Listen, thank you again for saving me some money. Can you point me in the direction of a bus terminal, of a bus that'll get me to a motel so that I can just fucking sleep?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he helps me out and everything. But he looked like a Korean rocker. Like he was rocking some leather clothes. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm relaxed." And I'm like, "Okay." He got me onto a bus, and on the bus I meet someone that's also that just came into South Korea. So I'm sitting there talking with him, broken English, broken Korean, vice versa, and we decide, like, you know what? Because I have money, but it was money I wanted to spend in South Africa. So I want to spend as little money as possible for the next 2 days. Now remember, there was 10 days planned, right? And I tell him, "Listen, okay, we get into a motel, we share a room, pay for it, get back in. Wake up the next morning. I tell him, "Listen, thank you for your time. It was fun, nice meeting." He's like, "Yeah, no, let's go eat something." I'm like, "No, I'm angry at myself. I want to go home. I want to go fucking cry. All of that. I'm going to go home and I'm going to do my things." So I go back to Gochang for one night. And I get drunk as fuck in Gochang. And the next day I had to get to Incheon Airport. And I do that. I get on time. I'm at the airplane on time. I fly. I get to South Africa. Now remember, I was supposed to be in South Africa. I think I flew the Friday. I think I had to fly the Friday. And I was supposed to be in South Africa the Saturday evening. Right? Okay? I flew the Sunday. And that would make me be in South Africa. That would get me to be in South Africa on the Monday evening. Like the Monday or the Tuesday. I can't really remember. I think it was the Monday. Right? On the Monday. So I got to South Africa on the Monday. And on Friday, I had to fly back to South Korea. So basically, I had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I had 3 nights in South Africa. That was the most expensive and short-lived holiday I've ever taken in my entire life. It was a lot of fun, though. Met up with friends, hung out with some of them, got drunk a few days. Like, I was basically just adjusting to the South African time zone, and I went back. I was an idiot. I was an idiot. But it was fun seeing my family again after a year. And I flew back to South Korea, got into my apartment, like school started the Monday, got into my apartment the Sunday, I flew the Friday, got into my apartment that Saturday evening, tired as fuck, showered, went to bed, still pissed at myself. An entire week. I spent an entire week being angry at myself while having a holiday, you know, but still angry at myself. Showered the Saturday, woke up the Sunday. I'm like, well, I was in South Africa 2 days ago for 3 days. I spent more time flying for that holiday than I spent in South Africa. So that's another rule that you need to realize if you're traveling. Another tip that you need to know when you're traveling. Make sure of where you're going, especially if it's like underground or subways or metros or whatever the hell you call it. Make sure you know where you're going and confirm. And you can only stop confirming once you're at your location. And that's a very important lesson. And that's the thing, Also, don't get drunk before you fly. Or get drunk, but be on the airport when you get drunk. And yeah, that was a very expensive lesson for me. I think it took me about 3 months to recover from that lesson, money-wise. But it was a very expensive lesson, and it was a lesson worth paying. Now, for me, it's like literally, you know what? If you miss it, you miss it. And it was the first time in Korea that I felt lost. Like that night when I was sitting on the airplane, like on the airport, realizing that I've missed my flight. Like I cried a bit, Went to the nearest bathroom, washed my face off, and I'm like, sat in the bathroom, cried a little bit. And it's like, fuck it, what do I do now? Luckily, you can still sort things out. There's always a way of sorting things out. But that was one of the most expensive trips I've made. And I'm pretty sure you've got some of those. You've got a horrible or an expensive trip that you've accidentally not made, as in my case. And if you have, please tell me about it in the comments below. I read your comments, by the way. I usually don't know what to say or whatever, but I do read your comments, by the way. And you know what? Like and dislike this video, whatever you want to do, comment down below of your horror travel story. And I'll see you in the next one, where we talk about an actual vacation that was 10 days long. So thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.